If you've struggled with stress, balance, or burnout, and simply feel discouraged or even defeated, and if you're ready to move from force to flow and enjoy ultimate Zen success in your career, health, or relationships, then the Zen Success Show is for you. Your host, Carissa Sims, is an entrepreneur, corporate consultant, best-selling author, meditation teacher, and healer who has found her own Zen success. Here's your host, Carissa Sims.
Welcome to this week's episode of Zen Success. Today, I have the pleasure of speaking with Karen Smith, Karen Justice, and Rebecca LaChance. How are you all today?
Great.
Doing very well.
And Rebecca, can you share a little bit about the Buddha behind you?
Oh, this is a lovely piece that was built into a garden wall of a photographer who was known as a master photographer of the 20th century. And his son had put it into the garden wall for him. And I had been there for mentoring in a workshop, and I stumbled on it. I was like, oh my, I have to have this.
Amazing. Well, let me share a little bit about these three powerful women we have today. Rebecca LaChance, Ph.D., lost her husband of 25 years from a heart attack in the early days of the COVID pandemic. Her experience of becoming a widow and grieving was deeply influenced by pandemic restrictions, her neurodiverse brain, childhood traumas, and her introversion. Rebecca was a registered nurse for over 30 years, specializing in critical care. Her academic career focused on the impact of a significant other's death, including her doctoral thesis about how advanced directives were implemented in a military medical hospital. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
And Karen Smith-Racicot, how do I say your last name?
Racicot.
Okay. Karen Smith-Racicot, certified life coach, and co-owned an accounting firm for over 20 years with her late husband. After her husband's untimely death, she authored the workbook, I Didn't See That Coming, as a guide for organizing important legal, financial, and insurance documents. That sounds very valuable and critical. She has spoken on that topic at various venues in the DC metro area. And is that where you are now?
Yes, I live in Maryland. So, pretty much Maryland, Virginia, DC, kind of the suburbs.
Wonderful. And Karen Justice, MBA. And what a powerful last name, Karen.
I married into it.
You married into it. Okay. That was your destiny. Through 29 lifetime moves, Karen Justice developed skills for facing change. Becoming a widow, however, was one of the most substantial changes she has faced. After her husband's death, Karen focused on building a new future. The effort combined fear, freedom, excitement, disruption, joy, and sadness. She learned much more about challenges and adaptation to change. Well, welcome, Karen.
Yes, nice to be here. Thank you, Teresa.
And yeah, my name is pronounced Carissa, so hard C. And would you share how all of you met?
Yes, I'll start it.
Okay.
I have been to Morocco several times and really liked several things about it and wanted to share. So I planned a trip, stuck it on Facebook that I was planning it, and said, if you're interested, let me know. Well, Karen and her current husband and Rebecca were three of the people who said, yeah, I'll go. On the last day of the trip, we had the opportunity to go to a Berber hammam. Consider it a Moroccan spa with a little bit of a twist. And we had a very, we were scrubbed and soaped, and then stood up in the middle of the room and hosed off in front of each other. So we knew each other, but not as well as we got to know each other in the Berber Hammam.
Oh, wow. And is that an enjoyable experience being hosed off together?
Well, I mean, we were hosed off separately, but it was
hosed off.
Yeah.
There was a lot of joking going on, I will admit that.
Yes.
As Rebecca said, we were the only ones to ever see her tattoo except her husband.
Oh, so wonderful. So you were acquaintances on Facebook, and then they saw the post. Okay, wonderful.
Well, we know each other through other things besides Facebook, but yes.
Okay,
we were involved in some of the same business networking groups and stuff.
Okay, networking. Okay.
As like, outside of our normal circle, but still knew of each other.
Okay.
Originally.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, that is bonding. I can understand why you would get closer that way. Well, what was the inspiration behind your book, Widows Among Us, Stories to Prepare, Be, and Help a Widow?
So I'll take that one for now. After Morocco, Rebecca, when we went to Morocco, Rebecca was still married to Frank. He passed about a year later. And through a couple of different things that Karen and I were doing, we wanted to reach out to Rebecca. Karen and I had already been through losing our husbands, and we wanted to reach out and help support Rebecca. And so there was a couple of different things that we did, but bottom line, we got together a couple of times. Of course, it was a pandemic, so it was on somebody's porch or at a very long table, like everybody at different ends, we helped her move a little bit, and then when she moved back to Ohio, and we all three love to travel. And so we started talking about traveling, and Karen and Rebecca themselves have traveled, the two of them, a couple of places, but the three of us started doing, and the first one we went to was Santa Fe, I believe. And then the next year we decided to go someplace warm, Sedona, which then we went to the Grand Canyon in winter coats and hats and gloves. Rebecca's like, so how's that warm area working out for you? But while we were in Santa Fe, which is first time I'd been there, magical place, we were talking about our experience as widows, and Karen and I had both written various books. And Rebecca, I believe, has a photography book as well, or is in one. Anyway, we were talking about books, and we just came up with this idea of, we should write about our experience, because women, a lot of women, it's a topic that doesn't get talked about. It doesn't get discussed. It doesn't get talked about. Nobody really wants to think about it, but it's very real. And so the idea was born in Sedona a year and a half ago-ish, and it's kind of come since then. If anybody wants to add anything, or
It pretty well covers it.
Okay.
We could say it was the wine, but it was actually the rocks. Yeah.
The energy.
The energy of the rocks. Yeah. And the wine.
Fabulous.
Created alchemy.
Yes.
For sure.
Wonderful. It's definitely a vortex there. It's incredible. So that's wonderful that it was birthed out of Sedona. So tell me a little bit about the purpose of this book, and can it also help men who've lost their wives?
Well, I guess it's my turn.
Yeah, you get to speak now. Wonderful.
Yeah, the purpose of the book kind of originally stemmed from the idea that the three of us, being completely different women in how we see the world and how we work, had three wildly different experiences in terms of our husbands' deaths and what we went through in each of our grief journeys. And we commented, geez, nobody ever talks about how different things can be. And I particularly had some difficulty with my grief journey because I'm an introvert. I value my solitude, and plus I'm neurodivergent, and I can't handle a lot of other people's energy. And you never read or hear about widows who have those circumstances and how do they deal with it. So we said all of our stories are so different. We need to start talking about how different it is and how okay those differences are. And from there, the rest of the ideas just grew again, basically from our experiences, but they were also verified by the widows that we surveyed and talked with.
Oh, wonderful.
Does it apply to men?
Yes.
We said very clearly in the book that we wrote it from our perspective as women because we can't write it as men. But we believe very firmly that much of the information in the book is indeed relevant to men / widowers.
Okay. Oh, wonderful. And how has the book been received?
We all jump up and down and go, yay.
Very well. Thank you, Professor. It's our pre-readers, our editors, our developmental editors, people we've asked to read it and so they could moderate some of our presentation for us. The reviews have all been glowing, and people are, just as we had expected and hoped, people are looking at it in different ways. They're pulling out different aspects of it that appeal to them. And we've had people with impending loss of a spouse, and we've had people with a loss 30 years ago who've been carrying grief, and both of them have talked about how the book spoke to them and helped. That's rewarding.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really special. So when do you recommend someone read this if they feel like they're a little bit older, or if their husband might be having some kind of disease and might be dying soon? Like, when would be a good time but this book would be really important?
So ideally, honestly, we have joked that this would be a good wedding present.
Oh, yeah.
So we say
because you never know, right?
That is correct.
I mean,
right?
there's young women who have lost their husbands, right?
Yes. And at the end of the day, it's a story about our journey as widows, who we were, the journey through the grief, and our transformation on the other side. But it really is the story of women and any traumatic event that they might encounter. And it's a feel good. I like to say it's not a downer. You're not gonna, be depressed when you read the book. Okay, so that's the thing. Like, yes, we're talking about widows. It's not a fun subject. Nobody really wants to, acknowledge it, but it's out there and it's true. But it really is. It's a woman's journey through traumatic events and different ways we handled it, different personalities. But the other thing is too, is there's also practical information in there. So there's our 3 stories. There is also a section on being prepared before something happens, whether it's paperwork, finances, insurance, retirement accounts, legal documents, what you should have in place to be prepared for any life event. There's a section about if you are a widow, these are probably some of the things you're going to be feeling, and it's okay. And you don't have to listen to other people, and they don't have a right to tell you how you should or should not be feeling or acting. There's also a section for friends and family of a widow to kind of talk about what the widow is feeling and going through and some ways that they can help. Because one of the things that we found on our journey is that people don't know what to say. They don't know what to do. We've all
maybe
lost
they do
friends.
nothing. Like they err on the side of caution and maybe don't say anything. I mean, I
don't know what to. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't know what to say, so I'm not going to say anything. I don't really want to remind her of her loss. Well, hello, we live with it every day. You're not going to remind us, but people are uncomfortable with the subject of death, right? Very uncomfortable with it, and therefore, a lot of times they do nothing. Or they will say, well, call me when you need me. Well, there's no energy there. Like, we can't even figure out what we want to do, how we're going to get through the day, let alone the energy to figure out what we might need someone to help with, right? So there are some ideas in there for friends and family of widows as well. So, from that perspective, it's really for everyone, like everyone, right? If you, friends and families of widows, a widow herself, a married woman that needs to be prepared, as well as our 3 stories of life, right? Going through a traumatic something in life and coming out okay on the other end. And it gives hope. I feel it really gives hope to women that it is going to be okay. Whatever it is, it's going to be okay.
Did you want to
Have
say?
fun, but it's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you want to say something about that, Rebecca?
Oh, well, just as an example of what Karen said, that, that it is going to be okay. One of our readers, as the other Karen had mentioned earlier, said that she had been afraid to read the book because of her impending widowhood. But her final sentence was, after reading the story, the authors had soothed her and she felt like she was able to handle what was going to come towards her now. So I think that shows, that there is some relevance for people and what they can expect. Yet it is going to be okay.
That's wonderful. So what do we say to a person, a friend or a family member who's recently lost their partner? I mean, what do you recommend? I'm just because when I think of it, I just want to hold their hand and hug them and say nothing.
Absolutely. And that's okay, right?
Okay.
Mhm.
Maybe all you need to do is just say, I'm thinking of you.
Mhm.
They just need to know that they're not forgotten. Maybe, would you like some company? Can I come over and sit and hold your hand, sit beside you on the porch? I just made some lasagna. Would you like that? And some bread,
Yeah.
make it easy for them to say yes or no. Don't say, what would you like me to bring you? I don't know. I've eaten nothing but cookies and ice cream for the last 5 days. So
Bring
Karen,
me something. Yes.
Karen, go ahead.
There's a saying that we did not generate, that would you like to be helped, heard, or hugged? And that's a very good. I mean, that may not be the first thing you want to say, but you in a conversation, it could be, I'm here. Would you, and you can offer whatever kind of help, but would you like to be hugged, heard, or helped? And to kind of follow through on that. Some people don't want to be touched. Rebecca, the introvert, may not be eager for a lot of people to hug her. And some of the widows, because we surveyed a lot of widows, this is based on more stories than just ours. And, one woman said, oh, people just want to hug me and hold on too long.
Sorry.
Yeah.
no, it's yeah.
Exactly.
I think she said she felt captive, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and you had asked about the readers, and you mentioned the young ones. The average age of widows in America is 59. So think about how many young widows there are to bring that statistic down that far. And every day,
47. I was
Yeah,
47
Karen
when
was
my husband
47.
Yeah,
died at the
that's
age
young.
of 9.
yeah, Rebecca and I were on the higher end, but and every day, 2,800 women in America become widows. So, as Karen said, it's a good read for many reasons. We're not Nora Roberts hit for this year or something, but it's an important book
Mm-hmm.
and an enjoyable one.
Wonderful. And what do you recommend to someone who is a widow? What's the most important thing they can do?
Breathe.
Take care of themselves.
Breathe and care for yourself. Yeah.
Yeah.
Breathe and care for yourself.
And
Yeah.
step out. Sometimes you get lost in being alone and grieving. And one of the things we encourage people to do is keep inviting the widow to come to a meeting, to a card game, to dinner, to whatever, and to keep asking her even after she refuses. So one of the things I would suggest that widows do is consider accepting those invitations, at least some of them. Even if you only can stay for 5 minutes, you have gotten dressed, had a shower, hopefully, gone out the door and seen people and had some fresh air. Even if you only make it for 5 or 10 minutes, go.
Yeah. because that movement, even maybe getting outside, if it's not like the company, even that could be healthy in the healing process, right?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm.
Absolutely.
Did you, any of you find, I mean, I guess I feel like this is kind of an obvious question, but did you find yourself sad and depressed or more in shock? What were some of the emotions that you were going through with the death of your husband?
Becca?
Well, my I'm not an emotional person, so that I was totally shocked to see and experience the depth of my sorrow. I mean, truthfully, I didn't know I had it in me to feel that way. And but through the course of my 18 months to 2 years, I developed some cardiac problems, which, of course, being the nurse and knowing this, that this particular cardiac problem was actually decreasing the amount of oxygen that my body was taking in and circulating. And that contributed to any depressive feelings that I might have felt, so that I literally was physiologically depressed. And that took about a year to work its way out. But I also had to I recognized that for me, this whole episode was a spiritual reckoning. And I had to spend some really deep time understanding where that dark night of the soul came from and coming out the other side of it.
That's profound. And would anyone else, Karen, would you like to share?
So for me, my husband died. Well, we owned a tax and accounting business, and he died 3 days before the April 15th tax deadline. So my initial reaction was, we got to get all these tax returns filed or extended or whatever. I mean, that was just we're a business owner.
That's your business.
Practicalities had to
Yeah.
be done, right? Fortunately, I have a great staff and they took care of it all. And I'm a practical person, and then sometimes like maybe too practical. But I also don't, and ironically enough, all three of us have said this. I'm not good at showing my feelings, right? I knew people would turn to me for like, and my dad had just died 6 months prior to my husband, and my parents both lived in the area. So my mom, we were helping my mom adjust to her life as a widow, and then Sam dies, right? So I did not take the time really to grieve or I just kept moving forward. But a large part of my healing process, I was a very shy person that liked my very small comfort zone. And with Sam, I could stay there because he could be responsible for everything. I could be like, oh, this needs to happen and this needs to happen, and he'd make it happen, right? And I didn't have to. After his death, I've often said that with his, before he died, he would try to like gently push or pull me out of my comfort zone, and I'd have nothing to do with it. After he died, he catapulted me out of that comfort zone because I didn't have well, I had a choice, but it wasn't one I was willing to make. Although, so I just kind of kept pushing forward, but, and in the process, gained a lot of confidence. But I can also see it, looking back, there's a comment about life is lived forward, but it's understood looking back, right? Looking back, I realized that I hid and pushed down a lot of the grief. So it took me kind of longer. Like I got married, I started dating somebody a year later, got married a year after that, but I was still spiraling like 3, 4, 5 years after his death. And so I never really dealt with it, which, that's not good either. So
Yeah, but then did writing the book help you deal with it?
Oh my gosh, yes. Like,
Okay.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Because all three of us kind of pushed each other. And one of the biggest things we would say to each other, and some of the beta readers said, is you got to get more emotional. You're telling us you're not we're not living it with you. You're just telling us the surface or the facts. And we'd be like, but I don't want to be more emotional. Like, yeah, you gotta, right? So it absolutely did. And I think all three of us, it did, that we were able to pull things out of us. And it was very cathartic. It absolutely was very cathartic to pull it out and realize, for me, it's been 14 and a half years. And I still, every once in a while, and there's always going to be triggers, right? And we talk about that in our book, about it doesn't really matter how long, because they were such a big part of your life. Um, and most of the time anymore, those triggers are a feeling of sadness. Sometimes I need to just have a really good cry to release a lot of emotions, and I know that I'm going to feel better after I have that cry. So I will read something or read a part of the book or something that I know is going to make me cry, because I know I'll feel better.
Oh, that's
Kind of,
wonderful.
yeah.
And what about you, Karen? What were some of the
Well,
feelings you were going through?
I am someone who had the anticipatory grief that has been talked about, because my husband was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer much earlier than many people. And, there was something else they were looking for, and they discovered it. So, one September afternoon, it was announced, you have pancreatic cancer. And, right then and there, the rug gets pulled out from under you, and you envision that sometime it could be, the doctors told us it could be, 3 weeks. It could even though the surgery was successful. And they said they got, the surrounding tissues, the prognosis was still 3 months, 15 years, could be whatever. So there you are, just kind of like waiting for a shoe to drop, trying to treasure every moment, trying to take care of all the things that Karen wrote about in her book, trying to not feel like you're going through an exit door, or feel like, have your spouse feel like you're leaving them behind. It was a balance beam that was challenging to walk on. So, by the week that John was in hospice care and when he passed away, it was a relief in many ways, because I'd seen my very strong husband just deteriorating into a waif. So there was a gladness that was over, if you can say gladness. And there was, the
Like a
sadness.
relief.
Yeah. But there's a sadness, which just got me on the verge of tears now, just talking about it. So, yeah. And so, the funeral home came and took his body out of the hospice center, all covered up. It went past me. They handed me a white rose, and I thought, okay, we're fine until the memorial service. No, I get a call the next morning that I have to go in and identify the body. And I'm thinking, you just walked it past me. I don't want to go identify the body. I don't want to see this, because he was being dressed in his dress blue uniform. My husband was in the Army for 31 years. Dress blue uniform they'd worn as a viral man. And I was going to have to see him with this gaunt body in that uniform. So, yeah, the grief, as Karen said, there are triggers. There are all sorts of triggers that you live with. But, there's this very wonderful diagram that talks about how grief as a balloon begins to deflate, and it doesn't hit the triggers quite so often. So it's been 10 years last month since John was diagnosed, and 7 years since I lost him. So it's, it doesn't go away. It just changes.
Well,
And I found a life partner that I adore. So, you keep building a new life. Rebecca?
I
Go ahead,
think it's
Rebecca.
also
Yeah.
important to recognize those triggers, because just 2 days ago, my husband will have died 5 years ago in this coming March 2025. And so in February, we're making plans to scatter his ashes. As I started to write the dates in the calendar, my fingers just were electrified, and it just paralyzed me, and tears came to my eyes. And I looked at my sister who was with me and I said, I didn't expect that. And so I shared that information with the two of them, the two Karens, in a text message. And lo and behold, here tall Karen is 14 and a half years out, and short Karen is 7 years out, and I'm, not quite 5. And they also were having trigger events recently as well. So it's important to realize that those triggers, when people experience them, are not aberrant. They're part of the process. It will be with you.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's what grief with any loss, though. There are triggers with any loss, whether it's be a parent or a child or your very best friend. Grief is not solo to widowhood. Grief and grief triggers happen for everybody. So that's one reason we put the illustration in the book, is because it's universal.
And it goes hand in hand, though, with the new life we're creating. Like Karen said, she has a life partner. I've gotten remarried. I love my life. I love the life I'm living right now. But it's a very different life than if Sam had still been alive, right? And so to recognize that it's okay to love my life now and to be happy. I'm very happy because he's no longer here to be a part of it. And so I've continued on and I've built a new life with Bob, and that's okay. And I know Sam would have wanted that. And with all of us, we know our partners would have wanted us to make whatever choice that we needed to make to continue our life and create a life that we now want at this point. Whether that is finding someone else, whether it's not, that part doesn't matter as long as it's your choice to make this part of your life now what you want this phase to be.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And did any of you find yourself communicating with your husbands once they passed on the other side? Okay, Karen.
I have not.
You have not, but Karen.
No, I've had slight way.
Okay.
In a slight way, I'm just going to share the fact that we had a house with a long stairway and a big buffet thing at the front door that had all the keys in it. And I would come running down the stairs and headed off to, past that buffet, and the drawer would be open. And I'd yell at him constantly about leaving the drawers open. But after he passed away, I moved into my condo, and I can't tell you how many times I found open drawers. So I said, oh, either I apologize because I was falsely accusing you, or get over this joke, So when you say, do I communicate with him? Only over drawers. That's so. But I still find them every now and then, and it's kind of like, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm. But also, I remember coming out of a trip, stepping off of a plane onto someplace new, and saying, well, I can't wait to text John or to email John about it. I knew he wasn't with me. He wasn't traveling with me, but he was like, oh, I got to tell John. And yeah, but not necessarily communicating.
Yes. Yeah. Rebecca or Karen, did you want to share anything?
Well, Frank had this really gorgeous laugh, and it was and I call it gorgeous because it's not the laugh that you would have expected to come out of this man. And quite frankly, there are times where I hear him laughing at me.
Oh,
and I'm like,
that is so sweet.
Like, got it, buddy.
Yeah. So, and I can say no, I don't. Like, in the 14 and a half years, I've had maybe 2 or 3 dreams that he was in it, but like it's not like he was the main character. It's not like he was speaking to me or whatever. I just knew it was him. And that's kind of it. I mean, it just,
Yeah.
For me, no. I have a friend who lost her husband, and she has spoken to him quite a few times. So, I think a lot of it has to do with the person and,
Mm-hmm.
I think I
Absolutely.
probably could if I wanted to, but I just haven't. It's not an area I've explored.
Well, your dreams count.
Yes, no, I
Yeah.
agree. I agree. Yep.
Well, what's next for all of you ladies? Are you going on a book tour? What's the next phase for you?
So we're going to be doing some book signings. I don't know if you want to call it an actual tour, but pretty much like I said, we all like to travel. So everywhere we travel, we're going to see what we can do for setting up signings and that kind of stuff. So, and just I don't know if this is going to well, probably not because I have my blur on, but I just kind of
If you put it right in front of your face,
Yeah, put it in front of your face.
then
okay,
it
there
will
we go.
show.
So, well,
Go
it's
back a little bit.
it's too big. Let me
That's
just
too
do
big.
something different.
Yeah.
But just kind
There
of
we
as a
go.
visual, this is the
So
book,
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Widows Among
Gorgeous.
Us. We do have a website, www.threewidows.com. It's got all of our upcoming events. It's got book orders and, you know, I don't know, a little bit about us. It's got some information on there for widows and being prepared and everything else. So
we're doing a kind of little short signing tour from between us and Rebecca, and then up into Michigan in June. And Karen's going camping for a couple long months, and I'm taking a trip to far distant places for a month this spring. So Rebecca is going to be scattering ashes, and we're all going to be joining her near there for a book signing down in Florida. Yes, but not exactly the standard normal way, because there are three of us, we all have other lives as well.
Yeah, but that's pretty good. I mean, you're really making an effort and putting some energy into it. So that's impressive.
yes.
Well, did you want to say anything about that, Rebecca? About what's next for you? You've got the ashes. That's a powerful time.
Yeah, yeah. And yes, I'm doing that in February. And I'm also looking at where I want to travel to in 2025. Right now I'm looking at a boat tour down the Amazon.
Oh, nice.
That sounds incredible. I love to travel as well, so I'm going to live vicariously through you ladies for now. It's been such a pleasure connecting with you all and hearing about your book, Widows Among Us, Stories to Prepare, Be, and Help a Widow. And it's really beautiful too. I love the flowers on
Thanks.
it. Yeah, poppies. Yeah. I'll put your website and how to order your book in the show notes. So thanks for being on my show today.
Well, be sure to
Thank
send
you for
us a
having
link.
us.
Be sure to send us a link too, so we can put this podcast on our website and share that with our viewers.
Share it with our yes.
I'd love that. I'd love that. So
happy.
thank you for saying that. All right. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. You too.
That's it for today's episode of Zen Success. Head on over to iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, or wherever you listen to shows. Subscribe to the show and share with friends. Be sure to head on over to ZenSuccessShow.com to help you on your Zen success journey, and join us on the next episode. May you find your own Zen success in life.